good year for your girl. I've been keeping up with the pairs. So don't be coming with
Beforeverglammed Riches. Welcome back to the channel. I found those ladies and I saw their beautiful locks. I went back to see where their journey started and how their journey looked, just to see if their locks have always been manicured and put together. And when you go back and do the research on some of your lock goals, you'll start to see that those locks don't start off as being the beautiful, lovely things that you see now. You may start to see that the locks, were sticking up a little bit. One may have been thicker than the other one. They were trying to push it back to make a little style, but a couple of them were sticking up. Or it may even be something like my hair where one side is clearly longer than the other. It's important to see those pictures because it lets you know that if you have made a decision to go to locks, and if you have the patience and the fortitude to stick with your journey, that your locks will sort of mature and they will actually become what they are supposed to be. Should you go traditional locks or should you go Sisterlocks? If you even have one thought in your mind that you may want to take your locks down one day, you may want to go traditional. So let me explain that a little bit. Traditional locks, you'll have anywhere to 150 locks on your head with traditional locks. When it comes to Sisterlocks, I think the minimum is 400 locks depending on the density of your hair. There are some people that have in the 300s. So it is my opinion that, and I've experienced this, you can take locks down. However, nobody's going to help you. I repeat, nobody's going to help you. It will be a task that you will do solo. You will not find a professional that will take them loose. I found one in Philadelphia and the price was starting at $1,200. And that's just what she has on her website. But if you ever think that, oh, I think I want locks, but I may want to take them down one day, you may want to go for the locks that are less locks. Again, I had 125 traditional locks on my head for about 13 years. It took me one whole month to take those down. Now, I didn't work all day and all night. I was only able to work like 3 hours in the afternoon, and I didn't work every day during the week, and I worked on the weekends trying to take them down. So this is the reason why I say if you are going into locks thinking you may get the itch to take them down, then you may want to go with traditional locks. But if you're going into it with the idea of, if I want to get rid of my locks, I'll cut them off, then you can choose either one. Because, most people I know, they do just cut their hair off. But I'm the type of person, I just, I'll take them down. Enough of me talking. Back to the video. Locks, and when they mature, not when they start, I want them to be the size of a pencil. I didn't know if I wanted a square base, a oval base, a step layer base, whatever they call it. That wasn't my concern. My only concern was that I wanted the locks to be about the size of my pinky or pencil, and I wanted to make sure my base could hold the lock. Sorry to interrupt again, but I do want to make it clear that that's the size that I chose for my locks. This will work even if you want thicker locks. Just make sure when you describe your locks to your loctician or to your lock professional, you make sure you say, this is what I want when they mature. Whether you want magic marker size, you want pencil size, whatever size it is, make sure you say when they're mature, because all of our locks start off pretty thin at the beginning. And it really depends on the base as to how thick or small your locks are. But I'm not a professional. But what did help me was when I spoke to the consultant and I let her know what did I want them to look like in the end game, which is another reason why it's good for you to have a picture of someone's locks that you admire. Now, we know that everyone has different hair textures and thickness and curl patterns and things like that. So you may not be able to get it exactly like the person you admire, but a magic marker size is a magic marker size and a pencil size is a pencil size. So the sizing can be the same. So let's get back to the video. So to me, that meant I would have healthy locks, because I seen so many people who had locks and they were thin right here, looked like their hair was pulling and the lock was too heavy. I wanted to make sure that I had enough base to support my lock, and that was all I told the loctician. So if it's important for you to keep your hair short, you may want to let them know. If you plan to grow your hair to the ground, you may want to let them know. So one thing about consultants or locticians, you want to develop a relationship with them before you make your final decision. You want to see how they handle their business. Are they the type of person that when you call on the phone, first time you talking to them, and you say, oh, I want locks, and they say, come here by 4 and you can get them? That's not a shop you want to go into, because any reputable consultant or loctician will not set an appointment on someone that they have never seen, touched their hair in person before, in my opinion. Okay, I've had I would say about 3 locticians, maybe 4, over 13 years. And I've had quite a few sister lock consultants, but all of the reputable lock professionals will not install locks in your hair without a consultation. Now, some of the consultations are paid, some of the consultations are free, but you do not want to go to anyone that's going to schedule an appointment for installation without seeing your hair. I started off with traditional locks. I did get the itch after about 13 years of, everybody, this was during the natural hair thing. So everybody was figuring out their curl pattern and all this and that. And I had the itch. I was like, I don't know what curl pattern I am. So yeah, I took my locks down. And I took my locks down and it was actually during this time. It was over Thanksgiving, Christmas break. Usually work is kind of slower and you don't see people as much during that time. So I was able to start in the middle, take my locks down, use these to cover up just like you do with braids. And by the new year, between November, December, by the new year, my hair was already down. So hopefully as I'm talking, I would have posted some pictures right here that I went and got that would show you some of my locks. And you've also seen some that my hair was completely down, taken down. So when it comes to locks, like I said, you want a locks gold, a person who has the locks that you would like to get. If you can speak with them, you may want to speak with them, because the person who you admire their locks may live in your city and they can give you their lock professional's name. During your journey, you must walk in patience. Locks will teach you patience. Maybe different people are different, but for me, my lock journey has taught me so much about patience. I just heard one lady say that her husband told her, nobody cares about the plant until the flower grows. And it's just like your lock journey. When you have a plant growing up out of the dirt, nobody really cares about it. But when that plant or that flower starts to bloom, then everyone starts to care about it. And that is so true when it comes to locks. In the first 3 years or so, you're just coming through the beginning phases, and your hair's trying to figure out what it's going to do, especially if you're coming from relaxers or loose. Your hair is used to being separate. It's used to being separated, and the strands are used to being by themselves. Well, with locks, we encourage hair to group up. We encourage hair to tangle. We encourage hair to mesh up. So your hair actually has memory. I've heard a lot of people say that. And so your hair needs to get on that page, and it needs to get with the program, and it's going to take a little time. When you find a loctician that you jive with, you respect, and you have your consultation, you may want to ask them which type of locks would you suggest. So for new people, just as a FYI, when you find a lock professional, there are lock professionals who do all types of locks. You can find them in any neighborhood. But Sisterlocks Consultants are certified by the trademark Sisterlocks, and you can only find them on one website. What's good about that is they pretty much operate in the same way. They all have the same standards, and they definitely have to pass those standards before they are able to put locks in your head. A lot of people ask me, so what's the difference between Sisterlocks and traditional locks? And I break it down like this. To me, Sisterlocks are designer locks. Locks are natural to melanated people. If you don't even do nothing to your hair will lock up. Well, Sisterlocks is a man-made sort of tool that's used to create locks, and the consultants actually customize those locks to your hair. They look at the density, they look at your hair length, they look at your hair type, they hear whether you're athletic, whether you go swimming every day, they hear your everyday life scenarios, and they customize those locks for your hair. Of course, they're smaller. People love them because you can basically do everything with Sisterlocks that you can do to natural hair. I've stretched mine so that, they will appear, longer. They've been in a stretch stage. I've only used perm rods once because they're really, really hard, but I've used these lock loops, and honey, these are just like styrofoam rollers in the day. It is styrofoam. You can also curl your hair with the pipe cleaners that you get out of the craft store. You can use them. You can twist your hair. Yes, you can do the Bantu knots. You can do braid out. So if you know how to do a braid out in loose hair, you can do a braid out on Sisterlocks. If you know how to do flat twists, which I still don't know how to do, but if you know how to do flat twists on your natural loose hair, you can do flat twists on Sisterlocks. So just about any style that you can do on loose hair, you can do on Sisterlocks, as long as it's not chemicals. So now, your Sisterlocks Consultant creates these designer locks just for your hair. So of course, they take a longer time to get them installed. You're going to go for consults. You're going to wear tester locks. This is something that the consultant is invested in just as much as you are. When it comes to traditional locks, I had a lovely loctician who installed my traditional locks. We didn't have to do testing. I just went in for a consultation, and then I set the appointment and she put them in. But she was she was a type of consultant or loctician that educated you a lot. And what was very interesting about this is once she installed my locks, she told me, okay, you don't want to shampoo for the first month. If your scalp is itching, you just want to spray it with this sea breeze. So when you find a professional that you are comfortable with, they will tell you what you can put on your hair in order for your locks to be successful. And honestly, in the beginning, we're definitely going to do what our consultant says because we want our locks to form. You know, we want our locks to mature. So no worries when it comes to what you can use, what you can't use, because at the beginning, your consultant is going to let you know what you need to do so that your locks will flourish. At the beginning, when it comes to Sisterlocks, you will just be using shampoo. There's a standard Sisterlocks shampoo. Again, the shampoo is a clarifying shampoo. It's used to rough up those cuticles so your hair will learn to clutch and stick together. Okay, so the products are really minimal. And I must say, even in a traditional lock journey, the products that you use at the beginning will be very minimal. Again, your professional will let you know what you need to use. As a matter of fact, a lot of the lock professionals make their own products. So when it comes to Sisterlocks, you will just be using shampoo at the beginning. But that's because you have to train your hair. Your hair has to be sort of rewired in order for it to learn how to lock. The other thing that you'll be doing if you're going into a Sisterlock journey is you will have to braid and band. That means you will have to take sections of hair like this and you will have to twist them or braid them together, and then you take the end and fold it up just so your hair does not come loose. And you have to do that every time you shampoo until your professional tells you you don't have to braid and band no more. And for me, it took 2.5 years. Or was it 3? It took a long time before I got there, but everybody's different. I mean, I've heard some people after 6 months, they don't have to braid and band. But with any lock journey, eventually you'll be able to use conditioner on your hair. You'll be able to use some scalp spray. And if you're doing palm roll locks, they use sometime a little gel to do your palm roll. So it just depends on the type of locks that you're getting and what your professional likes to use. One of my biggest thing I like to tell people, and I'm glad you touched on it, definitely get your hair trimmed or cut before any type of lock journey. Not the day before, not the week before, okay? Because you don't want blunt ends. You don't want blunt ends. You want to get your hair trimmed at least maybe 3 weeks to a month, 3 to 6 weeks before you go into your lock journey, because your hair is going to be like this until it locks. Now my hair, I hope you can see it, it is uneven. This side is way longer than this side. This side has all these layers up here because it's shorter, and this side comes down. That's because no one ever told me that I should get my hair trimmed before I go into my locks. And when it comes to most lock journeys, your professionals do not want you to get your hair trimmed at the beginning, because your hair is trying to grow sort of a mat together at the end. So that's what locks do. They kind of mat together at the end and go up. And once you get your locks put in, if you decide to cut it, you'll be destroying the matting that's supposed to take place. So I encourage anyone, do your research, find a good consultant, check their work out, things like that. But also get your hair trimmed 3 to 6 weeks before your install, or better yet, before your consult. So especially if you're going for Sisterlocks, you want to make sure you get your hair trimmed 3 to 6 weeks before your consultation, because when it comes to Sisterlocks, there are a lot of things you have to do. And before the consultants will quote you a price and set up an installation date, they will measure your hair. So products will come eventually, At the beginning, they will be very, very minimal. Now, I got my locks done in 99, 2000, so it was a long time ago. But for the first 4 to 6 weeks, I couldn't even shampoo at all. I don't know if they still do it like that, but that was just my experience. So yeah, in the beginning, get a trim first. Get a trim before you see your professional. When it comes to a Sisterlock journey, you will have a middle part to start. All of us have a middle part to start. There's nothing wrong with the middle part. I don't really like a middle part. I don't think I look good with a middle part. But at the beginning of your journey, you just want to do what it takes so that your journey is successful. So I would say for the first 4 to 6 months of your journey, continue to get your middle part. Once you get past that point, you might want to ask your professional if they can rotate. One thing I would not do is get the same part every time, because getting a part right here every time may cause your hair to grow thin right here. May not. Same thing right here, getting a part here. I just personally like to rotate my part. Just recently I told her to keep it in the middle. But I personally like to rotate my part. But at the beginning, I did not. I did everything by the book. And I asked the consultant, could I switch it up? One thing about Sisterlocks, though, you can change your part. You know, even though I have a middle part right here, if I just squirt some, mist some water on my hair, the part is gone. So you can't really see it. But it's just that when I used to get my locks done, I didn't like a middle part because I didn't think I looked good with it. So the parting is something that you will be able to negotiate once your consultant gives you the okay. They can change it around for you. I actually go get my reties sometime every 4 weeks, sometime every 5 weeks, okay? I prefer to go the same week of the month. It's easier for me to remember. I actually know I go every third Sunday of the month. So every third Sunday I go. Typically, most people go every 4 to 6 weeks. Now, with any type of lock journey, it's important that you go to your lock professional on a regular basis, because they can see things that you cannot see in the back of your head. They can also provide advisement on what you need to do if you're having any troubled areas, or what you need to do to sort of, like when the summer comes and we want to go swimming, they'll tell you exactly what you need to do so you can keep everything in place so you don't have any problems. So at the beginning of your journey, you will have to go see a professional so that they can get you on the right path. They educate you about locks. They educate you about your hair. They let you know if your hair is progressing like they expected your hair to progress. So you will be connected to a professional with either lock journey you decide to go with, unless you decide to do it all yourself. I'm not experienced with what it's like to do it all myself, because with my first journey, traditional locks, I went every 2 weeks, and that was because I didn't like to shampoo my hair. So because I didn't like to shampoo my hair, I went to the professional to shampoo my hair. And I never had any problems with my traditional locks. I just didn't want to shampoo my hair. And I think at the beginning I was scared I would mess my hair up. But 10 years later, you can't mess up locks. But I had a wonderful relationship with the lady that was fixing my hair. And I just like for her to do it. That's not necessary. A lot of people say, oh, you got your locks done every 2 weeks. It wasn't like the styling. It was the fact that she shampooed, she conditioned my hair. I got a head massage, all of that every 2 weeks. So in the beginning, you will be tied to a consultant unless you decide to freeform. And I'm sure somebody here may have some experience on freeform, and I don't have that experience. And with my Sisterlock journey, I go every 4 to 6 weeks. And I've been doing it ever since I had my Sisterlocks. Economically, Sisterlocks are more at the beginning, but I can truthfully say with the maintenance of your locks, it's about the same. Sisterlocks is going to cost you a big lump sum of money at the beginning. You're going to sit down many hours to get them installed. But on average, you're going to have to go once a month, once every 6 weeks to get them maintained. And that's going to cost you about $100 average. It's going up, but it's about average $100. With my traditional locks, it didn't take that long putting them in. Like, I remember sitting in the lady's chair. She had the little comb. No, she started with 2-strand twists. Started with 2-strand twists. It didn't take long to put them in. The price wasn't too bad, but I still had to pay maintenance for her to shampoo it. And, you know, sometimes the locks come loose. They have to put them back together. So, you know, you will have to, you know, pay some fees up front. But shoot, after a couple of years, you may be able to do it yourself. And that's the good thing about going the traditional route. I must say, when I had my traditional locks every summer, right before I went to the beach, because I love the water, I love to swim, I'm an avid swimmer, I would always interlock my roots, even though I still had twists. My locks were twists. And my loctician used to be so mad when I came back from the beach because she can tell I did an interlock. But I used to always tell her, I don't want my hair to come loose. When they twist your roots with traditional locks, they're just doing this with a little gel, put a little clip on it, you set on the dryer. Well, shoot, I'm going to the beach. My hair going to be bouncing all around in the water and everything. So I would take the interlock needle. I don't even know what I used back then. I do not know. But I would take a little interlock needle and I would interlock them. I only had about 80 to 125. That's another thing. Traditional locks, you will not have hundreds. I think I have about 520 Sisterlocks. I mean, it really doesn't look like it because I don't think my hair is as thick as some people's, but yeah, it's about 520 Sisterlocks. But with my traditional locks, I had max maybe 120 on my head. So, yeah, I used to interlock them during the summer. And when I came back from the beach, I would just go back to my lock professional and she would get me all the way back together. Continue to do your research and find you a lock professional. Your lock professional will guide you down that road, and bring your patience with you. Bring your patience, because the way you start out is not the way your locks will end. They will flourish into what you expected them to be. If I had to do it all over again right now, I wish I had have chose traditional locks, simply because I like being able to tighten my roots if I need to, if I'm in a crunch, without having to go to a consultant or to a loctician. So that's my intake on some of your questions. I am going to post some links for some of the other sisters and brothers out there who may be interested in seeing some lock journeys. I actually have a lock, what do they call it, playlist, and I've added a few of the traditional lock experts here on YouTube, and women who have gone through the journey. I've added those people to my playlist. I will see you on my next upload. Peace.